What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be replacing the front differential fluid in my 2004 F-150. Here are all the tools you're going to be needing for the job. You're going to need jack stands, a jack, wheel chocks to chalk off the rear wheel since we'll be jacking the vehicle up in the air to get better visibility for the cover. You're also going to need a 1/2-inch socket, a ratchet. There's one place where you're going to need a wrench because you can't get to it with a ratchet. And then you're going to need a number of extensions to get to one hard-to-reach bolt. That's a 10-inch, a 5-inch, and a 3-inch extension. And then if you have power tools, that would also be helpful. And we'll move over here. You're going to need your replacement gasket. You can use RTV, but I just prefer to use the actual gasket. And then some way to scrape the gasket material off. That's a plastic scraper. I wouldn't advise the metal ones. You can gouge the surface, but the plastic ones work really well. And then you're obviously going to need your replacement oil. That's 75 weight, 90, I believe. Yep, there it is right there. And then this pump right here also makes it really simple and easy when putting the fluid back into it. You just screw that on there and it just pumps right in. Alrighty, so let's begin. We'll go ahead and chalk off the rear wheel. Now we're safe to jack the vehicle up. Next, you want to grab your jack and slide it underneath the vehicle. And now you're going to be looking for some kind of a support bracket that is strong enough to jack your the front of your car up with. This is the front engine support bracket, and it's plenty strong enough to use, so that's what we're going to use. Now you want to put your jack stands in, and you never want to put them underneath this step right here, and you never want to jack up from this point because this is just thin metal and it'll just crush this and your car come falling down on you, and that wouldn't be good. You want to find a piece of solid metal. So I'm going to use the frame rail right here, and we're just going to slide the jack underneath that on both sides. Now it's safe to lower the vehicle down on the jack stand. And then remove your jack. Alright, now that the vehicle is safely jacked up and we're underneath it, first thing you want to do is locate your differential fill plug. And on the F-150s, if you're looking at the vehicle, it'll be at the left of the differential, right here. And this is a 3/8 drive, just box in. So you want to make sure you can crack this loose before you drain your fluid, or else you won't be able to get any fluid back in it. That wouldn't be good. So we're just gonna crack this open here, or try to at least. Man, that one's on there tight. Alright, mine's on here pretty tight, and I actually couldn't find any kind of a metal extension pipe, so I just found this piece of plastic pipe. I'm going to see if that works. There we go. Broke free. Move the pipe. Just remove it the rest of the way. Also, it's a good idea before you do this to make sure you've scraped all the dirt and crud and stuff you can out from around it, just to minimize the debris that might get in there. And you're going to want to do the same thing when you come around to the front also. Alright, so the fill plug is out, and That's what my fluid looks like apparently. It's pretty dark colored and gray. But Ford put a compound of sorts in there when from the factory. That's actually what turns it the gray color, but mine is already making noise, so it's probably going to need to be changed. Or replaced rather. The bearings inside are probably going to need to be replaced, but hopefully this will buy me a little bit more time. Alright, and we can just stick that cap back in there. I don't really feel any fluid, so I know it's low. Alrighty, now we're at the front of the differential, and you can probably guess why I decided to replace mine. It's all mangled and it's been leaking for a while. I'm not exactly sure how long. I only had the truck about a month, but it was leaking when I got it. And I don't know how they managed to bend this lip right here. It was a farm truck, so they could have hit virtually anything. But we're gonna start breaking these bolts loose. Make sure you have some kind of a pan to keep underneath it, just in case fluid starts leaking out of it. This is a 10 bolt front end, so there's going to be 10 bolts that need to be removed. Again with the 1/2 inch socket. There's one. There's two. I'm gonna skip this one for now. I think I'll have to take that one off with a box end wrench because I can't get this thing on there. There's 3. There's 4. There's 5. Alright, the rest of them we're going to need to remove with either the regular ratchet or a wrench. There's 6. I don't know if they've been in this rear end before because they've got, front end, excuse me. They've got silicone on it. I can't remember if Ford used silicone from the factory or not. I know you probably can't see this, but there's a bolt right here. And 2 more bolts up at the top, one right there, and one right, see if I can show you, a bolt right there that needs to be removed. And a cool trick is we're gonna get our long extension, and it'll actually reach behind. You come in front of the engine cross member and reach behind there, and you'll be able to get those 2 bolts. And then that far bolt on the right up there that I showed you last, that's going to be the one that you have to move with the wrench. But if you have a damaged case like mine or damaged cover, you're going to need to remove that one with the wrench also. Alright, we've got our long extension on that bolt right there. We're going to go ahead and break that one loose. Alrighty, that one's out. Now I'm going to go ahead and loosen the bolt at the very top also. I'm not going to remove it, I'm just going to loosen it, and that'll give us a little bit better control when we drain this fluid so the pan won't come toppling down on us. It's not heavy, it's just aggravating. So use the long extension for this one also. I'm just gonna loosen that one. That'll be good. Alrighty, now we gotta move the last two with the wrench. Go ahead and get this bottom one with the wrench first. Alrighty guys, I was able to break it free with the box end wrench. Let's see if we can spin it out of there. Well, maybe. Alright, make sure you have some type of a catch pan down there. Start catching that oil. Yeah, look at that. That oil does not look good. It doesn't look quite as bad as I thought it would, honestly. It might have been changed before. I don't know. Alright, that one's probably stuck in there. We'll have to just take the whole pan off to get that bolt the rest of the way out. The pan is, actually we got one more bolt we got to remove with a wrench. Alright, we'll spin this bolt the rest of the way out. You can do this with a regular wrench, but a ratcheting wrench makes it really helpful. Alright, I'm pretty sure that bolt's all the way loose. Just have to remove the one at the top now. Alright, the top bolt's out. There it comes. Alright, and the diff will just slide off. Alright, here's the diff cover. We're going to go ahead and clean this up. Remove all this old RTV gasket material. Here's the color of the diff fluid. Doesn't look the greatest, definitely needed to be changed. But I don't see any huge flakes in it. That's just the dirt I just got in there. But we're gonna go ahead and clean this off, see if we can't get this flattened out and that bolt taken out so we can reuse this diff cover. Alright, I got the cover all cleaned up and got that bottom bolt out, if you'll remember. This is pretty mangled right here, but I did my best to straighten it out. We'll see if that leaks or not. Hoping not. I didn't have time to go get another cover. I also scuffed that with a Scotch-Brite pad, and I'm going to go ahead and hit it with some black rust reformer. Just quick to and then we'll throw it back on. Alrighty guys, there's a cover after I shot it with the rust reformer and let it dry, so let's go ahead and throw it back on. Alrighty, it's also a good idea to grab all your bolts and put some blue thread locker back on them. These originally had thread locker on them from the factory. You can see that yellow stuff. So we're going to go ahead and put just a little bit on each bolt. Alrighty, then we can grab our gasket and go ahead and throw it on the diff cover. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and put the cover back on. I actually went ahead and put just a little bit of high-tack gasket sealant around it just to help this stick on here a little bit. It just really helps it not to fall off in these tight spaces. You can also just stick a bolt through it and work it up there like that, but I find this is a lot easier. Alright, once you got it held up there, grab a couple bolts. Just want to hand tighten these in. You're going to want to hand tighten all these bolts in, and then they get torqued to 24 foot-pounds in a star pattern so that the gasket compresses evenly. Alright, we'll go ahead and grab our long extension to thread these other two bolts in. Alright, that one's in there. Alright, now we'll grab a torque wrench and torque them down in a crisscross pattern. And once again, these get torqued to 24 foot-pounds. Six, 8, 9. Then that last one way up there, we'll just have to get with a wrench, and we'll just kind of have to feel that one, because there's no way to get a torque wrench up there. Alright, that one's snug down real good with the wrench. Alrighty, well that's done. It's time to fill it back up. Alright guys, so it turns out I actually bought the wrong pump size for this quart bottle, or the wrong adapters or something, so don't do that. Make sure you get the right size. But I was able to salvage the hose off of it, and we'll just use that. So how this works is pretty much you just fill this up till it pretty much till it overflows a little bit, and I'm pretty sure it was just under or just over 2 quarts. I can't quite remember. Alright, that's 1 quart done. Let's do the other quart. Alright, here's the second one. Alright, that's 2 quarts. And I think that's probably full right there. Go ahead and stick the cap in it. Alright, we'll go ahead and tighten the drain plug. I don't want to get it too tight because in case you ever got to remove it. And there we go. Filled back up, brand new fluid. No leaks on the gasket, so we're all good. There we go, guys, changing the front differential fluid in 2004 F-150. Fixed the leak and fixed the low fluid. I actually drained the old fluid into one of the containers and it was just about a quart. So it was about a quart low, which is not good. But that oil was definitely old. The truck's got 150,000 miles on it and I'm not sure if it was ever changed. So I was glad to get that done. Alrighty, I hope the video was helpful and I'll see you guys later.